Well, they're almost certainly looking at a core option. Hoodwink and Jakiro kind of locked down that 4 or 5 duo, so what exactly are they going to look to do? Because the Doom, I think maybe we got a little uh, outliers yesterday, right? Because the Doom has been so predominantly in the off lane, and then Beast Coast move it multiple times, so for a second you're almost tricked into thinking, yeah, maybe it can move around again. Wildcard, they're not going to do that because it's probably not the smartest decision. They keep the Doom presumably at the 3, and they get themselves a Faceless Void.
Yeah, and hey, when we come maybe those later stages, Beast Coast, they get in the best of five, they get in that grand final, and they whip out the Doom again there, maybe something clicks. But in that series, nope, nothing, nada. Did not look great, did not look good. And why would you want to switch things up at this stage of the game? Just keep it as it is. And even if you do have to deal with the Monkey King, which it looks more and more like EG is going to make you face the Because Monkey King,
Mhm.
well, you just gotta kind of sit and lie with it. It's a situation where I think both Hoodwink and Jakiro are strong enough heroes that maybe if the Doom is underneath a little bit of pressure, they're both strong enough supports that can peel back some of that pressure. Even though Panda is known for his disruptor, he's known for those annoying fives. One of those classic Viper players way back in the day where he just played Viper 5 and just use all of his mana on you, and then you'd cry a little bit. Same with the disruptor where he just harasses you better than most heroes in the game, but as long as you can struggle it through, as long as you can probably get some creep pull action. We saw yesterday as well, just the Monkey King creep pull. It's the name of the game. It's where a Wildcard maybe have a slightly more difficult time just because they don't have another beefy melee 4 hero to go and take the creeps like the Tiny, but I'm sure they're going to be able to make it work. Don't worry about it. It's why the Faceless Void pick also just makes a lot of sense. Just give yourself a little bit more control because even though the Doom has Doom and is one of those great lockdown abilities, singular. It is a lockdown ability on
Mhm.
one hero until you get the Ags. It's where you needed somebody to be that big stun.
Yeah, they did need that sort of playmaker, and they do have it. But now, well, looking at the back end of the draft, Evil Geniuses and Wildcard, for that matter, both starting to focus a little bit more on the middle lane here. Zeus banned out on one side, Storm on the other, and honestly, both sides had already taken out a couple of those other offlane options earlier in the draft. So the pool, obviously not dried up just yet, ET, but not going to have too many of those S tier options as the Invoker gets taken away now as well. So, well, I don't know. If you're in wildcard shoes right now with this final ban, what is the mid laner that you're sort of afraid of going up against?
Well, looking at TI and looking at what he did there, I would say the easy ban would probably be Shadow Fiend for Wildcard. I
Mm,
think that was the hero that really showed that Chris Luck, you can compete, and he did compete at TI. That was probably one of their best performances. And I think this is a position where banning out the Zeus should telegraph either the Shadow Fiend or the Leshrac are the immediate two heroes that you say, okay, everybody that's annoying on the other side of that high ground is banned out. There's no Invoker to burn your mana. There's no Zeus to nuke you down. There's no Pango to kill you with his level 6. This is where those carry mid laners certainly come up, and they don't do it.
huh.
They move past, and now all of EG's lanes are a big old question mark. Is this going to be the mid Rubik? Is this going to be the 4 Monkey King and then the carry Dawnbreaker? That would be the
Mm,
immediate shift up that makes the most sense to me, but really, I did not expect the Enigma.
yeah, well, I don't really know what they plan to do with this, but it's going to be interesting no matter what. But the Enigma has to be Whispers, right? We don't really do non core Enigma anymore. So we can at least maybe take that bet. And other than that, I guess the Panda Disruptor. I mean, Chris Luck did once play a mid Disruptor in a pro match, but I don't really know if now is the time to try that ET in your first ever official match under a new banner. But on the other side of things, another kind of unexpected pick. Wildcard are going to bring the Pugna back, and I assume, yeah, that is going to be mid in Exantic's hands. So some unexpected developments on the back end here.
Yeah, and now, well, yeah, is Chris gonna want to play mid Rubik? I mean, I think they kind of have to at this point.
Hmm.
So Whisper's lane looks great. Whisper's lane feels great for him. He's got a Monkey King to probably make space for him. Even though I suppose you could make it a 4 Dawnbreaker as well. It's probably something that they're discussing right now. Because if you do make it a carry Dawnbreaker, then you're throwing away your Doom lane, your Doom counter a little bit. So uh, interesting stuff from EG. A very, very different draft, but Xantic also finds himself on one of his most homely heroes. It's a classic. It's something that he plays a ton in pubs. Again, real big comfort pick for him. And you're playing versus a Rubik, so Chris Luck is gonna have to be a little bit careful in that lane. Of course, always having the telekinesis to break off maybe the initial suck from Xantic, but 8-second cooldown. It's why that hero comes in goes with how annoying it is. It's just one of those endless sucks, endless manas, and then when you come to nuking out the wave, well, there's probably going to be an early point up in the Nether Ward. It's where 1 point or max Fade Bolt, it becomes a very difficult lane for Rubik pretty quickly. Even though once Rubik gets 6, then, he steals the suck, and then they're both sucking each other in the mid lane, and, it's a mess.
Uh yeah, it's gonna be complicated, and we'll leave it at that. But I don't know, getting onto the Pugna, it always feels like simultaneously the simplest yet hardest thing for a team to do, right? Because it's just, hey, get in his face, hit him with a stun, do something, and then he's sort of dead to rights. But Pugna players, and I would guess at Xantic in particular, are always just that little bit better at dancing around you, making it so that you don't get that quick and easy sort of jump in. At a certain point, it's basically similar to playing up against the sniper. You know what you need to do, it's just hard to get in front of him.
Yeah, and if there's one thing you could say for EG, they've certainly done a great job of setting up Whisper in this game. It illuminates their silencer ban way early on that originally was just meant to cover the Dawnbreaker, so you get a 2 for there. Then you pay for the Rubik to even deny more heroes that Wildcard could have possibly looked for the counter. It just feels like they've set up Whisper for that perfect Enigma game that he definitely could look to just win. And maybe down the line, we'll see the Ags come out for Devi, where he just blinks himself into the black hole, which, if it clips the Enigma for even a second, then it does cancel that black hole. But a counter that I'm almost certain EG didn't look to draft around as Battle for the Ward. They get the D Ward, 4-man Boundless, walking away. But this is real scary. Don't want to run through that hammer trail.
Devi does do it for a second, so he does cop a little bit of damage, but looks like he's going to be okay. His teammates, meanwhile, fell back to take out the ward, and, well, honestly, that goes better for Wildcard than it probably should have, right? They march up the ramp, they get the D ward, they don't lose anybody, and it's going to have to be good enough for now.
Yeah, now just go for the 2-2. A fight that they also don't want to really go for a second round just because Whisper is already rotated towards his own lane. Gonna get ready for the double deny. A little skirmish here, though. Selexo will actually get the steal as well, and it's quite a bit of damage, but really got what he wanted.
Steals a third
Oh,
rune. Oh,
that's unfortunate, but
oops. Had a sentry ward on it, so that part does kind of suck a little bit, but only dead for a minute. I don't know. If you're Alexo, you got a bounty rune, you've got enough regen to just heal yourself back up, so overall, I think you're okay with that. You're not gonna, or hopefully not gonna need that sentry immediately at the start of this lane, but, well, I suppose we'll find out. We settle into the laning stage, keeping the camera bot for the time being. Panda, yeah, he is gonna do this. He is a disruptor. There will be Thunderstrike spam pretty much continuously, and, well, to be honest, it doesn't have to just be bullying the support. Devi, I mean, he may have a lot of armor, but against the magic damage, it is going to hurt him just that little bit more, and there's a certain dichotomy at play there, right? If you want to play up, then you're laning against a Monkey King who could punish you. If you want to stay back, then the Thunderstrike spam is going to be annoying as well.
yeah, just endlessly obnoxious. It's where I think once Devi finds his opportunity, looking and maybe getting lucky on a mana burn creep is really all that he should play for. And he's got a pretty nice creep in that small camp already. He's got the Harpy, Chain Lightning, but again, something he'd probably have to go for with his next Devour, and then it still isn't that mana burn, so we'll see if he dives even deeper. Ideally, you get Satyrs in the next camp, but right now they're Ogres, so maybe missed on that front.
Yeah, well, always the downside of the Doom that you can really never get around. You are at the mercy of whatever RNG decides to spawn up for you. So, yeah, if you're Devi, you're probably not too broken up over it. Your plan is to just farm up in this lane as best as you can. So, See how that goes. In the meantime, let's take a look at this this mid matchup here, because Chris Luck, well, he took a little bit of early damage. And Xantix's just gone all in on the Nether Blast, 2 points up in it, holding his third, so there is a pretty significant amount of nuke damage on both sides. It's just that Xantix is on a significantly shorter cooldown.
No, it's definitely annoying at those early levels, and the reason he holds a point is just if he does find an opportunity to get that Nether Ward in a real nice spot, well, then Chris Luck can't really fight for that blast hit or that creep wave that Xantic decides to contest, but could also just see him going for the standard max decret build, because at the same time, if you do put too many points up in your Nether Blast, well, it's just going to become the ideal spell for Chris Luck to steal, so could definitely see that being a focus for him going forward.
In terms of the last hitting, slight edge to the Pugna, but too serious just yet, and really not seeing anything too serious across the board here. It has been largely farming focused, although as I say that, Matthew and Boris are going at each other. Matthew hits 2, so he does have that combo to work with, but he took the DOT really right at the start. That is going to push him back, although... Okay, they're just going to go until somebody dies, and I think Matthew goes down first here. He pops the Fairy Fire, though. Is that enough? No, it is... Oh, yes, it is. Okay, the DOT eventually takes Boris down, as they do make the trade, and then back down in the bottom lane, Panda and Pakaz gang up on Alexa.
Yeah, just nice, solid plays all around, and Boris is happy with that. Gets to use all of his mana on the Jakiro, gets first blood, gets to bring back maybe some more support over to his Enigma, but that's also a pretty big win for EG, because that was 3-4 dual breaths that weren't cast on the Eidolons, on the Enigma at all, so again, Whisper doesn't really feel too pressured in his lane, as there is a little bit of a dive bottom. Devi's going to end up tanking a few tower shots here, but felt like they could go into Pakaz.
It is a relatively low health Monkey King, but a little bit complicated. They're going to go for the Bushwhack in here, but this is not quite as much damage as they need it to be. The Chain Lightning helped them get close, ET, but Pakaz will survive, and well, what other region do they have for him? There's a Pass Tango, now the Salve comes into play, and yeah, the Monkey King will be just fine.
And we'll have to see what Pakaz goes for skill build wise, because this is a lot of harass, and Devi's even bought a few mangoes here and there, so really they are just getting more and more set up. Once Devi has his phase boots, can only imagine that that dive is just around the corner, but we'll see. We'll see. Until then, though, Panda's done a great job just stacking, pulling, making sure he's winning that aspect of the supporting in this lane.
Well, oof. Back in the middle lane, Xantic, again, trying to sort of just push that little bit forward, keeping this opposing Rubik on relatively low HP, but it looks like for now Chris Luck is handling himself. Up top, though, not the same for Boris. It's getting jumped in on, Malefisk used, Matthew gets the combo pretty much for free at that point, and they manage to find themselves a pickoff. Now they're looking for another on the other side because, well, he goes down, and I guess technically gets the kill first, so there's a little bit of a benefit, but that's still your Monkey King getting picked off.
Yeah, and just, again, nice dive. The Hoodwink has a pretty easy connect with the Bushwhack, just knowing that he's always going to be pretty close to those creeps, and then feeling that Scorched Earth damage. Doom being Doom, just continuing to being that very, very annoying hero. Devi even won Arcane Boots, which is very different,
Really?
but just, again, abusing the creep that he got. That Chain Lightning hurts.
Yeah, with the mana to spam it out now, it turns into a much more significant threat. Speaking of threats, what is going on here in the river? Matthew rotates his way in. Chris Luck, well, that's the problem. He wasn't really the target. Excuse me, not the target. He wasn't really the damage dealer at the start of that fight. Xantic just kind of comes in with the life drain, and a little bit of an example there for the Pugna of, you know, my 6 is better than your 6. The Rubik was able to steal Decrep earlier, but doesn't actually do him a whole lot of good. So Xantic gets the kill, but over on that bottom lane again, the fighting continues, as this time it's Devi who gets caught out because 3 points up in the Jingu makes him very hard to lock down, and Hoodwink, you are now back in the tree line. They're looking for him. They do see him now, and not sure they'll actually get the kill, though. That's a very nice Bushwhack, but Alexo actually doesn't have anywhere to go until he pops the Scurry. There's no boundless for 5, so Pakaz would just have to try and follow on foot. That works pretty damn well, though, actually. I thought Alexo had more in the bag than that, but apparently not.
Yeah, just Monkey King versus Hoodwink. And with 3 points up in Jingu, Devi actually does have to respect that, and just a bad dive on Wildcard's part. Just got a little bit too far ahead of themselves, and Pakaz very appropriately getting some raindrops, even though definitely didn't want to buy any raindrops, but realizing the type of lane he's in, so not giving that away. And then looking at top, it looks like there's also a bit of a dive going on, but doesn't end up happening. This is going to be a big fight. Alexos showed himself here. This is a really early TP. If this play doesn't work out, Devi's going to be hung out to dry in the bottom lane. He might be walking already.
Yeah, this is already starting to fall apart just a little bit. I don't know, maybe they can wrap their way mid to try and salvage something, but for now it looks like a lot of time being spent for not the most. As the illusion rune spawns up, okay, he's at least able to deny that, but now Matthew's going to try to push onto him. Yeah, wishful thinking. Starbreaker not quite that fast, so... Well, the Hoodwink walks away, but denying the illusion rune is nice, ET, but this is still not really the impact they were hoping for with this double support rotation.
Yeah, and well, he's got max level Nether Blast, stole from Exantic. Ooh, Panda. Nice glimpse back, but still is gonna die probably to that Bushwhack. Yeah. He goes down, but could be worse, and now it's up to Chris Luck to get that mid-tower push maybe started a little bit here, because that spell hurts, and he's got the cast range to make it an even more safer hit, as, ooh, Alexo ends up tanking it.
Well, just how much more can Chris Luck get here? He is trying, but obviously you have to... Well, bear in mind that both the supports are still here, and someone's going to be making their way mid. That someone, though, is Yuma. Okay. All hands on deck here for Wildcard, looking to defend the tower. Yuma, though, doesn't have that Chronosphere just yet. And if EG recognize that, they may not be quite as afraid of this, but just the sheer numbers might be enough to push them away.
Yeah, and it's a combination of that and just not having the Jakiro top, so the threat of Black Hole is just a little bit too much, and they're going and trying to go early, but again, there's no Chrono. They have to do everything with Alexa's Bushwhack here, and it's not enough. And then Panda throws a Static Storm in between.
Not going to go for the Glimpse play, though, at that point. That honestly would have felt maybe a little bit greedy from them, so they decide to simply fall back while they're holding their ground mid, though. The push did come through top. Whisper combining forces with Matthew, able to get themselves onto that tower. They do claim it, but... Well, then Chris Luck goes a little bit too far forward, and Exantic is able to punish him this time.
Yep, just the reveal and the little bit of a cast range advantage with the Aether Lens, something that the Rubik will eventually be able to fix, but just in that moment, too much damage. And now, big fight over the stacks here.
Here's the Chrono. It's going to be deployed onto 2. They've already lost Boris, though, so there isn't a lot of follow-up damage into the Chronosphere, and yeah, that means Yuma has to sort of rethink this, but with Exantic coming in, that changes their plans. They get that Decrep into the life drain onto Whisper. They'll take him out. Exantic very low on HP himself, but it looks like he's going to be able to walk away. And Wildcard, it's a trade, but it's a good one in their favor.
Just no good angle for Whisper to Black Hole in that situation. Even if he got a Black Hole onto the Hoodwink, then still same situation, dies to the Pugna. Didn't want to waste that CD. And he's just going to go for a straight-up Blink Dagger. I love it. Just a slightly different adaptation of the Enigma build, but also proving that without having to go Wraith Pact every game, frees you up for those more fun, more action-oriented items.
See what he can do with that. I mean, you get the Blink, you got to try to be aggressive with it, so... he still needs, what, like 700 gold to finish it off, but he should be getting there fairly quickly. At the same time, well, it's EG's turn to make a bit of a support rotation that doesn't have too many options available to it at the moment. Matthew and Panda are here, ET, but Devi is not taking the bait. He's just going to park his ass behind his tower and not just push his way forward into a position where he could get caught.
Yeah, he's digesting a creep, you know? He's doing something right now. Could be worse. I think there's also a Hood Rat coming over with the Sharpshooter, so they have enough damage for a kill, but now Matthew and Pandabu are just attached at the hip here, and they're smoked going into the triangle. maybe trying to scout out, see if there are any stacks there, but nope, nothing. Not that they were farmed, just weren't there in the first place. And now on the 12-minute rune, might try to, yeah, get their free kill onto the Hoodwink.
Even because just using the Primal Spring all the way in there just to make sure he's the one who grabs the kill. So a little bit of extra gold into his hands, and you see Picaz ET going for a little bit more of a fight-oriented build. No later sort of timing on the on the Battle Fury. He is just looking to engage. As the engagement does come, the Doom is thrown out onto the Disruptor, but Devi did not know Picaz was here. Is he going to be able to get himself out, though? Yes, he is. The TP just barely completes. And yeah, that's Doom used. That's unfortunate, but at least you don't lose your life as well. That's some sort of silver lining.
On the top.
Matthew. Solar Guardianing in. Yeah, there's your black hole. Whisper catches him out. Matthew jumps in. If Whisper gets the black hole, that combo is going to be there pretty much every time.
Yeah, nothing you can do to really survive that until maybe you get an A on this. I don't know, just probably not very possible right now. But because there are 3 heroes showing top, get some great damage on mid. They put down the Nether Ward. They're going to start Nether blasting it. Any hero that shows up has to be really cautious here because that'll happen. And okay, Xanath got fogged, so does cancel out his ulti. So Matthew gets to walk, but the tower's still dying.
Picaz is here, but he doesn't have Wukongs, and yeah, now he's going to get trapped up in the Chrono. The life drain is on him. Can they save him at all? Well, can he save himself, actually? Picaz is starting to heal up, but the decrep is going to prevent him from getting any right clicks in. They still need to get him away. They can't do it. Picaz goes down. Alexo is traded out, but if you're Wildcard again, you are okay with this trade. Really, the only thing I think you're not okay with is the fact that the Tier 1 didn't actually go down there. But, well, they've got a Pugna. They can make another attempt at it pretty quickly, but they were really hoping that was their moment to break through.
Yeah, and then the rest of the lineup smokes, looking for the Doom bottom, but support has also arrived, so they're getting red quite hard here. Now, disengage has to happen. There's no black hole, so Whisper is just a blink, Malefice is creeps. So really, this is not the strongest trio, and Whisper does not want to go down here, but connected.
Very greedy. Stops to go for the Eidolons, and that does end up costing him his life, so... Okay. The Wildcard are able to pick up another kill. Starting to look a little bit better, and I did say they missed out on the tower in the middle lane ET. That is still true, but they did get the Tier 1 down bot. Devi was able to finish that off before those 6 heroes kind of rotated their way over, so... They still claim an objective. They still get the better of the kills, and now they're smoking up looking for a fight. They've got a pretty solid target. If the Rubik can't get back right now, he could get caught. The Bushwhack doesn't connect, though, but he's still going to get decrept. The life drain is there. The Nether Blast is a lot of damage, but it won't be enough.
Now, and with an Arcane Rune on the Rubik, I don't know if Wildcard are going to want to try for that mid tower just yet, but it gives time for Whisper's Black Hole to come back up, and that's probably what EG are going to look to play for here, especially if they can kind of get an idea of where Wildcard are playing. It's going to be one big push from Wildcard to try and get one Nether Blast onto that Tier 1, and then Bandaboo and Whisper have to be absolutely on point. They just be on that knife's edge and just ready to jump, because they missed that opening. Well, the tower dies, he walks away, and, well, you miss your Pugna. This is where there's almost a guaranteed kill on the Pugna if he goes for that play. It's why Xantic is being as patient as he possibly can, really. It's the Eidolons, they go forward, scouting out a little bit, and we'll scare Wildcard back here, but Xantic really does have to be careful, because he's the only one who can make that mistake. Nobody else really can for him. You know, Boris might get glimpsed back. Really, there's no place he can go, actually.
Yeah, they're just going to get a quick kill onto him. It may cost the Matthew, though. Yeah, Sharpshooter comes in to finish the job, so all of that turns into a 1-for-1 trade on the supports that technically, in terms of gold, favors Wildcard, but this is going to be where things get a little bit more dicey. That is Xantic pulled back into a Static Storm combo, and now they absolutely have to get something in exchange. They're looking for the Rubik, but there's the Black Hole. Whisper blinks in, catches out too. Chris Lux still dies, but if they could turn this into a teamfight win, they're going to be more than happy with it. They get Alexo, the Malefice, now down onto Devi Lama as well. Do they want to chase? Picaz says, kind of. There we go. Drops the Wukongs down. It wasn't going to have the radius at first, but the Glimpse pulls the Doom back in, and EG will take the fight. Please don't leave that. Thank you. Picks his Oblivion staff back up, and everybody gets out.
big win, and EG get to continue to hold on to this mid tower. Just very nicely well played. Very good stuff from Pandaboo there, abusing the vision, just placing the ward in the middle of the fight. It's nighttime. Wildcard can't see that well. They don't get that same level of vision down because they lose the Jakiro first, and it becomes an almost impossible engagement. And because they don't have their tier 1 tower, EG still do, they can bring more TPs. There's no good way for Yuma to connect, so no Chronosphere to help them win that team fight.
All's well that ends well if you're EG, as they are able to pick themselves up. Not an entirely clean teamfight win, right? Chris Luck did still get hit up by the Doom and died, but we're going to be relatively happy with the overall results, as Acorn's shot has been stolen. They glimpse Alexo back into the river, and yeah, they will have more than enough damage. And honestly, from Xantic, this Nether Ward, it's nice, but it's not really enough to fully dissuade people from going in, as Matthew... I'm not entirely sure what he was trying to do there, but he is trying to make a great escape. He goes north as the Doom blinks south, and all of this is acting as a bit of a distraction, because here comes the rest of EG looking for some sort of engagement. They're going to try to punish Xantic. They glimpse him back into the static, and somehow Matthew is the absolute perfect bait. I'm not even sure if he was trying to do that when he started, but that's going to be the end result.
He just is able to connect. Now he's going to TP back home and set himself up for a Solar Guardian play, but just gives them the glimpse vision, the perfect vision, just having the Dawnbreaker in the weirdest of possible spaces, and hey, it works out. And again, EG get to farm and wait while their big CDs come back off cooldown. Whisper's not really under too much pressure. It's where Wildcard would like to make a play with Devi, abuses Blink Dagger, but with bottom, Devi's the one getting played on. This is going to be a little bit tough, but they're going to work for it.
They should have the damage, especially considering the rest of Wildcard went in after the kill onto the Rubik instead. They did have to use the Chronosphere for it, but it's at least going to turn that into a more even trade-off. But the problem with this situation, right, that's Chronosphere used, that's great, you find a big important kill, but now your big cooldown is unavailable, and we're 30 seconds out from Black Hole. So EG know, in terms of, well, the teamfight ability, they are going to have an edge for a little while.
Yeah, and it's also where Rubik Kill's great. He's a core, but he is not the core. He is not the one pushing down these buildings. Whisper and Pakaz can certainly do damage whenever they actually are able to connect on these objectives. But with top, Pakaz, a little bit of a bully, kicking the Void out, but isn't able to make anything happen. And he's got the two other cores right behind him, but I think this is where that good defensive vision from Wildcard is going to pay its dividends.
Yeah, they should not really fall into that trap. Yuma doesn't want to give up on his farm, but he's going to do so in an area that is safer. Devi, though, he's thinking about it. Getting awful close to the edge there, but he's going to back it off as well.
And now, smoke time. You're going to have a BKB as well. I'm assuming that's what EG are going to wait for, because then they get the perfect timing where there is a pretty much uncancelable black hole thrown into the mix. But hey, it's Antic. He did it. He walked up. He got that final Nether Blast and a small opening, but one that he was able to abuse just where nighttime turned into day. Just a very small play, but didn't lose his life for it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, able to find something for his team, so a bad move on his part. In terms of his itemization, well, I don't really know about this. He's got the Dagons queued up now. I guess, obviously, burst potential is going to be important for him, but we haven't really seen him build defensively at this point, and his two deaths, ET, have both come from a glimpse into static, so I feel like burst damage is great, but maybe something defensive so that you don't get caught out that way, because otherwise, EG would have to just all in on the backline instead of pulling you away first.
Yeah, it's where BKB or even the Octarine Rush, something that Gunner popularized, both very solid, but okay, Alexo right out in front is going to lose his life to the smoke of EG, but really no spells cast, and is the Jakiro? Yeah, unable. Pandaboo's just too quick with it, gives over dual breath as well, and that's an Ag's done on the Rubik, so those big spells and those big steals are coming out. And in this game, probably going to look for, I can only imagine, Bushwhack, Netherblast. But then, well, he can kind of just play Pugna. If he can get Life Drain and Decrepify, I feel like that might be your combo as well. You're literally better Pugna at that point.
You just got more range. You got the slower, or not slower, the shorter cast point. Just very dangerous man at this stage. But, well, on the wildcard side of things, they're not panicking just yet, right? They still got a bit of a net worth lead. They've managed to hold despite this gap in the kills sort of coming into play. They know, really, realistically speaking, they're one good team fight away, but ET, that stands for both sides looking at these lineups.
Yeah, and that's where something that EG are maybe not so adept at, as Alexo, again, just caught in the daytime vision, not really anywhere for him to move. But an issue with how EG have built themselves up, the team fight's great, and okay, they're going to look for more, so I'll shut up.
Oh, he does throw the Static Storm down before he dies. It's just not going to be that effective. But Devi is going to get hit up by the Boundless Strike. There's going to be the Star Splitter as well. That forces out Devi's BKB, though. Looks like he's going to be okay. In the meantime, look at Yuma. Waiting. Looking to see if there's any sort of opening for the Chrono, but he's not going to see it.
He's poised for the jump, but the issue to bring up for what EG have done with their item choices, as cohesive as they have only itemized for a team fight. They have a Mage Slayer and their Monkey King who's going for Bloodthorn. Their Enigma does not help with the Roshan, and that's where EG would look for their next objective. It's where simply the only way for them to proceed this game is to look for those large-scale team fights, and if that's something that Wildcard recognize, well, Wildcard can pretty successfully dodge EG out, and then EG are stuck saying, why won't you fight us? If we team fight you, we'll win. That's what we've built everything up for, and we're not winning because you're not giving us the clean team fight. It's certainly something that Wildcard can abuse.
Well, EG looking for something here. Three-man smoke. It's Whisper and the two supports who will make their move, and well, they're pinging up towards the top lane where they do spot Yuma, but it's not going to be an easy kill unless they get the jump on him. And Yuma, he just used the time walk. He's in trouble. There's going to be your black hole. They're going to lock it down. And the reinforcements will not arrive in time. In fact, Boris, not only here too late to help, but maybe too late to avoid retaliation, but doesn't look like they want to go for it. They already used their black hole. Matthew is very low in HP, but Panda is looking for it. There's the glimpse, and Xantic's going to get pulled back into the Static Storm, and, well, this is going to be a problem. They don't kill him off immediately, but again, nobody wants to push into Static to help him. They don't really have the means to do so, and now because he wants to go even further, getting in onto Boris, they're going to lift him up and pull him back. They find that pickoff, and for Wildcard, it's time to cut your losses. They're just trying to get everybody out of here. Alexo, though, is being chased through the trees. Stolen Bushwhack does not hit, but it gets them the vision that they need for the glimpse, and Chris Luck finds the kill. And at this point, ET Panda, 19 assists. He's just been all over the place here. That maxed out glimpse, so powerful, and well, some of the wildcard heroes are building some magic immunity, but not enough, and the ones who are building it all don't have it yet, so they're going to continue to get caught out.
No, it's so problematic. I think at this point you gotta start getting him, but yeah, well, this might just be your BKB forced out of you, but he's gonna try to walk it out, and I suppose with the Jakiro there, he should be able to walk this one out, but still, scary situation to be in.
That's gonna go.
Look, there's the Chrono.
They got Chris Luck right away. They're gonna take down Matthew as well. Now they want more. They've spotted Panda, hitting him with the Infernal Blade. He's trying for a TP, but yeah, that's not gonna complete. The Ice Path is thrown under his feet, and the Wildcard needed an immediate response after kind of collapsing a little bit in the north side jungle. This certainly counts as that bounce back moment, especially if they could now take Roshan as well. It's still just the first Rosh of the game, ET, but it is going to give them a lot more power going into the next fight.
Yeah, and this is also where, well, if you're the Monkey King, you would want to go for a defend here, but not knowing what their vision situation looks like, even though they've got the high ground cliff here, but no black hole for 40, this is going to be kind of a crazy play from Pakaz if he goes for it, but he will not go for it. They get the Aegis, and Wildcard get to swing the objective, something that EG, again, out of their item builds, weren't able to swing, even though they certainly were stronger, and they will be stronger in 35 seconds when they've got all their ultimates back up again. That first Aegis doesn't change too much for the rest of Wildcard, but at the same time, I feel like they got exactly what they want.
Looking at it, Xantic again. Honestly, if Whisper gets the initiation, they may not need the black hole for this, but they want to be... yeah, okay. They want to be sure is what I was going to say, but they do jump the gun a little bit there, and yeah, by that point, Xantic had figured out something feels wrong. He's able to blink himself away and avoid the gank.
Nope, very wise. Really far blink as well with the Aether Lens. Just feels very nice. Boris looks like he's being hunted, though. It's Shakiro.
Okay. That Wukong's does not really do all that much, and well, that's just kind of a blown cooldown. At the same time, over in the middle lane, Matthew does end up getting himself caught out. A trio of heroes go looking for him. They find that kill, but now they're back onto the Monkey King. They know he has no ult. Yuma, though, doesn't have Chrono. They don't have an easy path into this engagement, but they are still trying to push their way forward, hoping for some sort of wraparound. Devi has got his Blink Dagger up. Can they find the right target? They're looking for Panda first. Probably the smartest choice. Take that Static Storm off the field. And that is going to force EG back.
Yeah, and with that, free tier 2, Glyph's gonna come through, but tower's already getting liquid fired, so the multi-shot doesn't feel that effective, and just feels like this is their objective. And now, 55 seconds until your Monkey King has his BKB back up again. Don't really think that EG are going to look for a fight, even though they've got Black Hole. Because would have to play the fight at arm's length, really doesn't want to be gone on, but a scary situation to be in. And Wildcard are just abusing this Aegis for all that it's worth. Yuma's just constantly in front now, looking to break smokes, isn't really in a position where their backline can get jumped, and now that it's nighttime, this is the exact place where Wildcard want to fight. During the day, the glimpses are just a little bit too easy. They recognize that. They say that this is probably the easiest time, and okay, Chrysaluck, so much magic damage, just burns to death.
Doesn't really have a whole lot of movement outside of that Blink Dagger, so once it's canceled, he's just kind of stuck, and well, haven't gotten to see quite as much out of this core Rubik as we may have been hoping for, but they're going to have to try and keep their opponents off their back. Panda, able to pop the Glimmer, gets the Glimpse off, and he should be okay, but Wildcarder again trying to focus in on these objectives. The Glyph, though, does slow them down a bit, and maybe forces a change in direction. Yuma made his way down bot, but not really sure how much there is for them to find here. They can push to maybe try the high ground at this point. It still feels risky. So,
yeah, it's 30 seconds until daytime, so Xantic is going to lose that positioning advantage, but we will be able to get something going here. I think maybe for the remainder of this DD rune, they continue to pester that high ground, but still, always have to be very careful. Don't want to lose that first Aegis too quickly, but okay, Yuma says thank you for bringing me back in. Doesn't really care too much. Because is also getting that split push going. They're checking in the trees for the monkey, but he simply isn't there. And finally, the Nether Blast. They're going to start coming in. Yuma,
well,
okay, found Whisper.
Yeah,
but
if they can get the
damage.
kill, they do have it, but there's a buyback. He is going to pop it. So Whisper back on the front line, and now they know Chrono's unavailable. They're going to glimpse him back. The Time Walk doesn't really do him much good, and if they could take out the first life, if they could get the Aegis out of his hands without having to use those big ults, now they're set up for something else. Because is going to throw down his ult. Panda drops one as well. And Yuma, well, if it's not for the buyback on Whisper, that play feels pretty good, but with the buyback coming through, it turns into an overextension.
And then nothing you can do on that Static Storm on the Aegis coming back up. Already used the BKB, just only got the kill on the Enigma because he had that DD rune, so stretched himself out very thin, but still, you got Glyph, you got a buyback out of the Enigma. If you kill Whisper in the next 6 minutes, that could be your way to get an easy bottom rack, so then set yourself up very nicely for that next Aegis. It's where EG now need to make a successive play. They would love to probably have that black hole land onto the Faceless Void as soon as he respawns, but that's got to be a smoke in the next minute or so. But look bottom. Do they really want Devi? And Devi says, no, I want you.
This is a bit of a problem.
He stole Doom.
Oh, okay. Doom's going to come out on really both sides at this stage. And this is a very weird interaction, but it should end with Devi going down at this point. He is slowly but surely dropping. Whisper does not die to the Doom that was thrown out onto him, and it was touch and go for a sec there, ET, but EG managed to hold, and now they're in a really good position, right? Doom unavailable on one side, stolen on the other. Black Hole did not have to be committed, and well, EG, they still have some work to do to close this gap, but they've got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and that was an arcane rune doom as well. So Chrisluck is going to have it back up in 35 seconds. It's again another opening for EG to just make the play, and can only imagine that they're going to look for the Faceless Void in just a few minutes here. Even now, there's really no better time. You've got Black Hole, you've got the stolen Ag's Doom. There's ever a moment for you to find your way into some of these buildings. Now would be kind of it, and they are looking for a pick to set up for the Monkey King to show up maybe a little bit later. Right now, Pakaz is a little too far for anybody to connect, but he's running for the DD rune, and then we are looking for that 5-on-5 fight. As the smoke breaks, it's Antic. Gonna get gone on, but nice force, still gets caught.
Yeah, Black Hole onto 2, no help coming. They clean them both up. Kaz was able to bottle that double damage rune, so EG, you could look for something here. Most obvious target appears to be that tier 2 tower mid, and with the death timers and the Doom still on cooldown for a little bit longer, is there a possibility for EG to turn this from a tier 2 into a high ground push, or is that maybe trying to push too far?
It's still slow pushing. Even though Pakaz is getting up there net worth wise, still most of his net worth is to enable his team fighting. So unless he wants to pop the DD and just siege, which probably doesn't feel too nice, and he's also a very thin Monkey King. He's only got 2100 HP. He is not very tanky. He could get bursted or die in a chrono, and without Black Hole, the rebuttal would have to come from Panda Boo, and they just BKB off that Static Storm. Well, they could just lose their monkey like that. So they decide to wait, be patient. They do accelerate that push by popping the DD, but now, respectfully, they do retreat. And now it's Wildcard's turn to look for that smoke initiation and then seeing if Yuma can connect with the Chronosphere, because that would immediately lead on the bottom.
Making their way back up into this east side jungle.
Doom is about to pop.
His Doom is available. The Rubik's Doom is... Oh, whoops. That was the wrong one. Excuse me. That was the Titillation that timed out instead. So, both sides have Doom. At least a little while longer. Wildcard, though, they're heading to the north. They do smoke up, but... Well, this would be a very long wrap. At this point, it already feels like it would be too long, so... Really sure this is going to run into anybody, or maybe it will. Matthew just TP'd himself top, trying to deal with the creep wave, but if this is a 5-man smoke to kill Matthew's Dawn, that's not really the most efficient use of your time. They do check Roshan, though, but it is a long timer. Over 2 minutes before Rosh will be back up.
Yeah, and well, the Dawnbreaker, yeah, is going to get seen. Would have to ult to his team, but no, there's no time. Goes down, but Wildcard called that with the bottom wave pushing as far as it was, that there might have been somebody in that triangle, which is a guess that they do whiff on, but the play, and there's a buyback on that Dawnbreaker, but they're really looking for this team fight.
Well, there's the Rubik jumping in, though. The Doom is going to be deployed, so they do lock Yuma down. The Solar Guardian now coming into play. They got the Static Storm dropped as well. They caught both of the main cores in it. And Wildcard, they just weren't ready. Again, the buyback kind of catches them by surprise. First it was Whispers, now it's Matthews. Oh, Tavai, though, does make the jump in. Doom on himself. He's going to be able to lock down at least one. Matthew, yeah, going down as well. So they get the double, and now they're going to try to push on to Pakaz. Pakaz has to try and hold his ground. Whisper, though, is going to come over to help him out. That allows them to take down Boris. And Tavai, I'm not 100% sure you win this fight, and I don't think he wants to try. He's going to back himself off now. Or maybe not. Blinks back in. Goes for the Infernal. Pops his PKB, but there's the Black Hole. He does eventually get punished. Pakaz can just whack away at him, and... well, at least Tavai's able to find two. Right? You take down Chris Luck, you get the dieback on the Dawnbreaker. It's not a bad play, it's just not enough to swing the fight.
Yeah, just, I think, caught off guard as well from Chris Luck not showing on the map for the longest time, so didn't know that the Doom was even still a possibility. And then, again, it's slight. It's about to be nighttime, but they make that jump initially during the day, where they can find the Faceless Void first, where you don't get anything from your Faceless. It's the worst case scenario for Wildcard. And they thought they had complete control over this situation with them having the high ground. And now Panda, well, he's going to die for walking near that high ground. But because EG take that fight a little bit closer to that tier 1 top, it just gave them everything that they needed. And now we do have that awkward pause where we're waiting for Roche, but it's also where you did just blow Black Hole. Whisper does have a refresher on the back burner, so if he needs to, he could rush this next Black Hole to contest Roche, but Wildcard should force it, and they should scout it out pretty soon here. That tree will last long enough. Let's see. Nope, that's right before Roche would spawn, but I think Alexa's going to put another one in there, and then we should just see them immediately go for the Roche.
Oh, they got the vision. They're going to push their way in. They scanned to make sure that there was nobody on that ramp, and fortunately for them, there is no one there, so... Oh, they should get this for free. It's not the fastest attempt, but if nobody's coming to stop them, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, and then the game gets into that awkward situation where Faceless Void is no longer a target. You can't afford to just use your big ultimates on that Aegis. You have to go for a more paced out fight. You have to be a little bit more patient. Otherwise, Yuma will find, he will connect, and Yuma still has a lot of space to go. Man's got a Wraithman still in his inventory. If Yuma gets time, he will start to become more and more of that terrifying Faceless Void we all know it to be. He's certainly getting kind of worked here by Pakaz for just a little bit. Pakaz is way, way, way richer, but Pakaz has also had a little bit more time to farm. Right now, though, pressure on the towers. They get in on that bottom wave, a lane that Devi is already very cautious of showing up to, but chip damage on the tier 2, and probably the tier 2 claimed. Just all the lanes are now open.
Send in the creep, send in the Eidolons, double siege creep wave, makes that pretty easy to pick up, and... Well, Whisper is still here. Maybe a little bit of chip damage onto the tier 3 as well, because this is still a sizable wave. And nobody from Wildcard's coming back. They are all looking like, towards that top lane, but that's only Matthew again. So, I mean, if they get the kill, that's nice. Matthew's going to get punished here, but... You take a significant amount of damage to your tier 3, it's already really below half health, so... Eh... I don't know, Matthew's probably not happy with being dead. That's probably the wrong way to phrase it, but he is more than willing to make that sacrifice if it means Whisper can just start hacking away at objectives.
And now, okay, the first responder, Boris, he's got that Yules and he's going to get knocked out of it, but gets the Dispel, so really gets out of that danger zone, and not the fastest damage from EG. And now they've got to go. They need to evacuate. They're going to try and stick around, but again, I don't think they can really take team fights during the night. And right now, Devi, he's looking in. Wow, that's unfortunate. Steal Scorched Earth. He tries for the steal on the Doom, but you can't steal Doom while you are doomed. That's not how that works.
Not really. So, unfortunate play. They're losing the Rubik, but everyone else at least is able to just kind of bail out. You know, fall back, continue to build. Pakaz did get the Eye of Scotty up and running, so... Makes him a little bit tougher to get away from, makes him a little bit tankier. Bloodthorn up next as he's finally going to upgrade that Mage Slayer, so... Both of the cores are really starting to become that maybe sort of one-man army territory. They're not quite there yet, right? Still want maybe one or two more items or upgrades before they really reach that point, and... Well, I mean, if Wildcard aren't going to push any further with this Aegis, if they're going to try to use it to farm, then... Really kind of feels like both sides are relatively okay with that.
Yeah, you know what the crazy thing is? Doom's already back up. Octarine Core Doom with the 20 talent.
Oh, man.
What a ridiculous hero. No wonder he's first phased. Because, yeah, the Rubik doesn't even get a chance to respawn before the threat of him getting doomed again is already right back there. So it's a very scary situation to deal with. They have done a good job, though, of waiting out this Aegis. Minute 50 left. Not too many objectives have rolled. They've really just been cleaning up these outer towers, and I think they should be able to get these last tier 2s before EG are ready to fight, but EG say no. We want to fight. We find the backline Whisper is raring to use this refresher. He's got 2 black holes to use, and scary. Now, Whisper.
Makes the jump, but the telekinesis is actually going to lock him down for a moment, but Whisper is still dying. He does have a buyback. But at this point, I'm not really sure they're going to want to use it. Crystallock did steal Chrono, though. So that's, you know, I mean, it's interesting. I'm not really sure if it's going to help them out with no Whisper to follow, but at least they've got it.
Yeah, and it's a little bit weird because now Yuma, he doesn't have a BKB at the end of the Aegis. One is going to time out. The Aegis is going to be gone before he can really do anything too crazy, and you probably don't want to do anything too crazy versus the Disruptor right now. And Panda, well, he's got an Ags. That's sick. That's cool. If he can find himself, it's where he really needs that Blink Dagger, and then he can make his own team fights happen. But until then, we're still kind of waiting for Whisper. And Whisper's not going to get his buyback forced out. It's just more farming time for Wildcard while that Enigma respawns. Just still feel like they're getting quite a lot out of the map. Because, though, isn't the one who's in the base. Because, despite it all, has been still out farming the lanes, pushing in those creeps, and he's got that 25, so he's ready to take that brawl as well. Boris is crazy.
Yeah, this is maybe a little too far forward. Yuma, I mean, he doesn't have Chrono, so I don't really know how much he wants to try and do here. Pushes in, gets the dilation, and then backs out, so a little bit too far out of Boris there as Chris Luck. Oh, he's thinking about going in. He still has the Chrono Sphere. The Static Storm has been thrown out first, so he's going to use the Chrono to try and keep Xantic out of the fight, and that is actually perfect. Technically, Yuma was caught in that as well, but he can still move, but he doesn't want to move forward into the Static Storm, so he has to abandon his teammates. And EG, I mean, 3 kills now, maybe 4. Chris Luck's kind of hunting, but not going to run into Alexo. But honestly, even if they don't get the Hoodwink here, EG just got pretty much everything that they wanted. They were able to wait out the respawn. Static was used, but it's not on the longest of cooldowns. And hold on, the Rubik actually did still find Alexo. But I'm not really 100% sure what this stance is. The Hoodwink knows he can't get away. There's no TP. He does have a blink though, and well, never mind. I said he knows he can't get away. He says I'm just buying time, waiting for my moment, and he gets out.
It saves the gem too, deposits it, says, okay, that was a little close. That was a little scary, but Aegis gets reclaimed. Whisper buys Boots of Travel. He's immediately back out onto mid. And I think this time around, maybe Divide pops his beat could be a little bit sooner. Can't really afford to get your base broken wide open like that, as because another whiff Boundless Strike goes a little bit too deep and is going to get kind of slowed up right now. And Whisper.
Bud? Well, that's awkward. I mean, he does have his refresher, but that's not exactly what you want to have to use it for, so... Oh, that sucks.
No, definitely not ideal. And then they catch Yuma farming bottom, so they decide to back out of the base. And they still have great vision, really everywhere they need, but no, that puts you in a really tough position. Because now Whisper probably wants to wait the entire 60 seconds before he looks for his own black hole play. So again, time has been allotted to Wildcard to now finish up a lot of those items, and a lot of those items are finally falling into Yuma's back pocket now. So he's actually getting way scarier, a lot more damage, a lot tankier. It's where EG might start to struggle to kill him in at least the first black hole. I think any hero gets double black hole should probably die, but you never want to see Yuma getting over that hump because he is just continuing to build up. And after his finish Scotty, he's looking to immediately itemize into the refresher, so he's going to have just as much team fight capability as you do.
Matthew does have an Aghanim Scepter online now, which obviously might give them a little bit more to work with if they're trying to chain these abilities together. Against Yuma, it may be less effective. He was able to get the MKB, but against the rest of the lineup, the heal and the evasion could certainly do some work, as G are very, very close to the enemy right now. Not going to go all the way in, and they did get scanned, so Wildcard knows something's up. And they're going to try and go for a smoke play here. How far forward do they go, though? Look at how hesitant they are to really push all the way in. They know if this gets popped, if we're the ones caught, things could go very poorly.
Yeah, there are Eidolons pushing into bottom, though. So Wildcard are going to be the ones that have to blink first. Even already, they're moving back to defend their base, make sure those tier 3s don't get chipped. And it looks like both teams are just going to dance around each other and probably disengage. As soon as the Monkey King shows in his triangle, then Wildcard honestly would like to go for another smoke, but this is where we've gotten late into the game. I think they've only got one more on the Hoodwink, and then they're going to have to wait. Meanwhile, EG, they scout out the Roche. Wildcard need to take a peek as well, and Boris is all on his lonesome, but they see Pandaboo, and they would love to kill that Disruptor off.
Now the TPs are coming in, both sides setting up around the pit. 35 seconds for the respawn. And things are going to get real tense moving forward here, ET. Both sides know what's up, and well, I don't know. It feels like if EG are the team who get the initiation, they should have this fight not guaranteed, but sort of well in hand, right? I mean, they've got the not the Chrono, excuse me, they got the Wukongs, they've got double black hole, got static storm, which will mute as well. So I don't know. It just feels like if they get the jump, they may very well just straight up take the fight. But that's why Wildcard are being so cautious.
And with that, Roche spawns, Roche is scouted. It's an Agnum's blessing in that Roche pit, so probably would want to give it over to the Void, I can only imagine, or maybe even the Jakiro at this point if they feel like they don't have that much damage. The pure macro pyre is nothing to scoff at, but there we go. Now Wildcard are aware as well, and everything is going to be brought about here at this Roche pit. And of course, during the nighttime, everything matters about your wards. And currently, Wildcard have the good ward. They've got the important ward, the ward that you always have to fight for. And with that, Yuma peeks his head into the pit. An Eidolon scares him off, but this is where Wildcard can certainly instigate it. Still, all about the positioning, all about the jump. There's nobody set at bottom right now either, so EG, they haven't put on enough pressure to force Wildcard back just yet, so we're stuck in a standstill.
Yep. Good old-fashioned stalemate here. Both sides in their respective trenches, looking out across no man's land, wondering, oh, who's actually going to make a move? Yuma does push forward at least to grab the illusion rune. I think maybe hoping, you know, maybe that was something like a DD that could turn the tides of the Roche attempt and or fight, but the illusions are still useful. He sends them up onto the high ground, just getting a little bit of scouting done here, looking for the position of those EG heroes. And EG, they had to fall back for a moment to avoid giving up too much info, but that's not enough of a window. Wildcard aren't going to take that bait. They are looking at Matthew in the middle lane. Yeah, that's not really going to work out either. Sharpshooter off the mark. Dawnbreaker walks away.
Oh, and now, again, I'm still just looking at Alexo with that smoke burning a hole in his pocket, but they're going to have to make a jump soon, because if it turns into day, I still think it heavily favors EG. Just makes it a little bit too hard to get in and out of these team fights, and that's why they smoke. They're looking top. If they find Whisper, that'd be his immediate buyback, but that's going to get this team fight going, and they get another cliff.
Courier takes some hits there, so looks like EG do now know that their opponents have crossed over, so this smoke isn't quite as sneaky, but at this point, if you're Wildcard, I don't think you care. You got in, you got the vision, so now if EG do come back to contest the pit, you are going to know about it. And that is enough for them to feel safe pushing in, and they're doing this pretty damn quickly. EG's response, it's coming, but will it get here in time? Roshan already dropping low. Pekaz able to get into the pit, but the Yule Scepter is going to throw him up in the air. The Chronosphere is going to get thrown down underneath his feet. And, well, there's no backup right now for the Monkey King. Pekaz's help is all the way back because Divide was able to pop the Doom on himself and push his way forward, but Whisper's still going to get a Black Hole on. Connecting on a 3. Where's the damage, though? They've lost the Monkey King. He does buy back, trying to re-enter this fight. And maybe they can start to turn this around. Divide Llama's been taken down, and Xantic is low as well. Whisper looking for his moment, hoping for a second Black Hole. He did refresh it, but he hasn't thrown it out just yet because, honestly, they may not need it. They've caught Yuma. Can they bring his first life down? Yes, they can. And now is when they're going to try to set up. Whisper, what does he have? He's got a BKB ready. The Dual Scepter, though, did throw him up in the air, but it's not going to stop it. The Black Hole comes through. They do catch Yuma. And Wildcard are on the retreat. Even though they take Roshan, they were not ready for the full-on engagement that followed.
No, and Kreslak just carried. He just carried the entire fight. He just has time locked War Stomp. He's perma-stunning heroes right now, and okay, he's a little bit too far and might die to all these buybacks, but all the buybacks have been forced, but
Xantic dies
you
back.
have buyback on Rubik. Yeah, it's time to get back in the fight. This is their moment to win. They cannot lose Whisper, though.
He's dropping low. He does go down. Okay. That's Whisper out. Matthew's going to fall now as well. Pekaz on the front line. Doesn't have any backup, but he is holding BKB. He's going to pop it now. Here comes the Solar Guardian in as well. They're trying to keep Pekaz alive. Healing up off the Jingu, and they are turning. Yuma's going to get taken down. Divide Llama next up on the chopping block. He falls as well. No buybacks available. They've all been used already. And EG, well, have they found their moment? Boris glimpsed back, hit up by the Nullifier, and will be dropped. And there's the GG.
Oh boy. Ooh, it's perfect. It was just perfectly baited out, and then at the end there, I don't know what cut it. I think it was Matthew, but cut the tree of the Hoodwink, so he gets the BKB off. He starts lifestealing, he starts healing, and then Devi doesn't find his doom because Devi is perfectly chain stunned. I mean, it's just stuns on stuns on stuns on stuns. It's just absurd. And I think, again, back to that Roche fight, everything is C Smile. It's all Chris Luck. He just has this niche combo of the Ags plus War Stomp plus the stolen time walk, and he just keeps you there. He keeps you stuck. He has so many setups, and that was a really well executed fight from Wildcard, and especially Boris. My goodness, the Yulzes that he was able to get
Hmm.
on the Monkey King, on the Rubik, on the Enigma to break up the initiations. He's the only reason that fight looked even close. But you drop the ball, you again with the plays from the Rubik, it buys that space and it makes that time. And then Wildcard, they just didn't let themselves get that full reset. And then they're panicked. It's back to daytime. They're back at the disadvantage versus EG, and they throw all of their buybacks, which of course result in killing the Rubik. But Chris Lex says, I got buyback. Let's go. Let's win this game. It's time. And they
Uh,
don't have enough. And Wildcard almost throw away their game on their own high ground. But man, the execution, EG gave us a fun one.
and EG wins that game. As you see the final graphs there, they win that game still down by like, what is that, 7 or 8k, somewhere in that range. So it all turns off of one fight, and honestly, that last engagement was just good, a good play, and then a better play, and then an even better play after that. Nobody played wrong. It's just someone did better, because bringing attention to Devi, the reason Yuma takes the Aegis, the reason why Pakaz gets punished that first time, is because Devi self-dooms and hits up like 4 other people in the river and keeps them away from the pit. It isn't enough, because your opponents top your good play with one that was even better executed.
Yeah, and now I don't even know what game two is going to look like because for the longest time it felt like EG weren't getting what they wanted. I mean,
Hmm.
hell, they didn't get a single Aegis. They had 0 successful Roche fights technically in this game, and then the final one breaks the game and everything goes wide open. I mean, it's just great stuff. Even though I think Wildcard, hell, they gave a pretty good fight. This was not what people were expecting, myself included. I think Wildcard were coming in as those severe underdogs with the way that EG have been looking and who they've got on the roster. But man, I'm excited for game two.
Hmm. A wild card, we're close in game one. We'll see what game two brings us. So we're going to be stepping away for just a little bit, but when we return, we'll have the start of that game two draft. So stick around, and we'll be right back.